Okay, so what I'm going to do, just like last week, we're going to open, and remember, each one of you are going to have your own um, tutorial video under architecture, this class, computer graphics, students, of course. I'm the instructor, so I'm going to click on here, and under tutorials, I'm going to open tutorial 2. All right, Architect Studio. So this is another simple architectural drawing. Um, and this is a project I used to use in years past with my architectural graphics class. What I'm going to use it for tonight is to show you some concepts. Now, if you look carefully at this drawing and you look through it, what I used to make the students in this project do, and I may make you do it too, is to go through and find what's missing in each view that's shown in another view. Okay? But that's not our focus or concern tonight. It may be later, but not right now. If you look, when you look at an architectural floor plan, and the way most of you probably have drawn floor plans since you've been in high school is that you've drawn the outline of the wall and you've made it either 4.5. The thickness of the wall has either been 4.5 or 6 inches, and then that's how you drew it and you left it there and you didn't do anything else. But as we get into presenting architectural drawings, you're going to see a different way that walls have to be shown and portrayed because of the way the section is cut through. If you look at this floor plan, this being the first floor, this being the second floor, and you look at the elevation that's drawn here, what we're seeing, as we discussed in the very first week, is everything that is shown from 4 feet down. So essentially, I'm looking at here a section that I'm cutting through this wall, and I'm showing a section through the house here, right? Well, I'm not showing a section line on an elevation, and typically we don't. But really how a floor plan is generated is 4 feet up from the ground. So if I'm standing out here as a person and I draw a line from here or from a nearest point, I can use a nearest snap, and I'm going to go up 4 feet. As I go up 4 feet, and just to prove it, I'm going to go to a different color that's going to be a little easier to see. Okay, and I'll put this line on there as well. If I draw now a line from this line, which if we query is 4 feet, and I draw this line, it cuts through everything that you see there. So what I could do in turn is do a copy, right, of this section line right here. I'm going to grab a copy of it, and I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to kind of rename it, all right? And I'm going to place it here for the time being. I'm going to call this P for plan. Okay, now you'll never do this on an elevation drawing, but I'm just trying to help you appreciate what you're looking at when you're looking at something architecturally. Now I'm going to move these arrows and point these in the down direction, because those arrows, or those little nubs at the end, okay, they kind of tell you what you're actually looking at. So I'm going to move that here. It shows you the direction, so you could think of there being an arrow on the end. And what I'll even do, just to help you understand where I'm going to go ahead and draw a little arrow here, and I'm going to, or actually, it will make it a little bolder if I copy this line, right, and then I rotate it maybe 30 degrees, okay, and I'll put that here. And I'll mirror that to the other side, right? And then I'm going to copy this. So it shows you which direction we're looking as this line is placed. Now I'm simply going to move this from here to, let's put this here, right? So that's at 4 feet. So I can delete these guidelines I have for myself now. And then I'm going to move this over to the end, all right? And then I'm going to just attach them, reattach them, all right? Okay, so now when I'm looking at this, everything I'm cutting through, it has to be shown dark. So when I'm looking at this floor plan, In theory, I'm not looking at anything above 4 feet, in theory. Now, some things would have to change when it comes to this little stairwell right here, but we'll get to that another time. We won't worry about that. But what you're going to see is that that stairwell isn't going to show completely like it is, because we know those stairs go past 4 feet, don't they? All right. So what should we be doing now as we look at this floor plan? Anything we cut through, including these columns, needs to be pochade. If I was to pull up, I'm going to pull up a Google Chrome window, and I'll pull it over here so you can see it. And this is something that's in your architectural graphics books. If I put in wall poche, okay, when walls are pochade, I'll pull up an image for you to look at. You see all these walls that are cut through in this plan? You see how they're shown dark? That's wall poche, okay? Even right here, if I was to pull up this, you see how the wall is not shown pochade in this line in SketchUp? We're showing poche over here. The poche shows us not only what's cut through, but it gives us a nice contrasting line or wall that we can show other materials. So if we wanted to show floor materials, we could do that. So here's another good example of wall poche, and we won't use black in ours. We'll use a nice gray color, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Because in your presentations, if you only use plain walls like this, they won't represent very well from a distance, if that makes any sense, okay? So how would we do that? Well, what I like to do is create a layer itself, right? So I'll go in and create a layer, and I'll just simply call this layer A-poche. I'm going to make it a color, a light gray color. And what I'm going to do to poche my walls, I'm going to make this the current layer, and I'm going to go in, right? And I'm going to type in BH for border hatch, and I'm going to hover over this section of wall, and when it fills that area I want, I'm simply going to click a point, and there's my poche. I'm going to come over here, there's my poche, right? I'm going to do the same thing here, here, and here. Ooh, sorry. I'm going to do it here. And all my walls that need to be filled in, I'm simply going to fill them in, okay? Everything I've cut through. Now windows we show a little differently. We don't show the poche in the window, and we treat the sill as if it hasn't been cut through, which is why that window sill is showing. I'll also come into these columns, and I'll hatch that one, I'll hatch that one, and I'll hatch that one. Now, very on purpose, I did something. I made a mistake, right? If you look in, all of my lines aren't completely, it's not a filled area, a true wall poche like we would draw graphically like we're going to do in our architectural graphics class. We've got the wrong hatch pattern. So I wanted you to see that so you could see how to change it. How can we change it? If I simply click on this, I'll click on one of my wall hatches that I just made on the poche layer. I'm going to right click, and I can say select similar, right? And when I select similar, look, it selects all of them. So I don't have to select them all individually. That's a nice feature in AutoCAD. Revit has a very has a similar feature as well that we'll talk about. Even, well, I'm sure Luke will talk to you about it before we get there, but I wanted you to kind of see that. Now I can go up here and change the pattern. I can hover over solid, click on solid, and now my wall poche is a true wall poche, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this in my tutorials folder, and I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to play with the same concept. I want you to be able to create a layer called a poche, go in and poche your walls that have been cut through, essentially what I'm showing here. And even if you want to kind of maybe draw your own section cut down here to remind you, you can do that as well, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and stop this.